Good evening, I'm Dagan McDowell.
And I'm Sean Duffy. Welcome to The Bottom Line. We start with a Fox Business alert. Breaking tonight, 11 more hostages free back in Israel territory, mostly children, some as young as 3 years old. And it's believed somewhere between 7 and 10 Americans are still being held by Hamas terrorists. The 4-day truce between Israel and Hamas extended for 2 more days with the hopes of bringing more people home.
And for some of the youngest victims, like 4-year-old American Abigail, who was freed over the weekend, we may never know the extent of the horror they witnessed.
It's so heartbreaking. She's with her family and she's smiling. She was very hungry. They weren't fed well at all. She has no idea what happened to her 2 parents. Well, we don't know the extent of her knowledge about everything that happened.
The last time Abigail saw her father was when her father used his body to save her life.
Yes, he shielded her and he held her for the last time. He was shot and she ran covered with his blood to the neighbor's house where Avichai Brodach, whose 3 children and wife were also released. I'm just so happy that she had she had someone to hold her and to hug her, because over 50 days, the family and actually everyone in Israel, because Abigail really became this symbol of such an innocent child who was snatched from her home by monsters, by the terrorists of Hamas.
So sad. And the terror is far from over. Even the White House can't deny the temporary ceasefire ultimately benefits the monsters.
I can't deny that that Hamas gained some benefits from this deal. One of them is the ability to refit and retool inside Gaza. Another is to try to use social media and other formats to generate some propaganda out of it.
The Wall Street Journal editorial board putting it simply: Hamas holds everyone hostage, writing, quote, "Now Hamas is using the hostages to play on Western respect for human life. The onus will fall on Israel to end the truce, though Hamas is unlikely ever to release all hostages, who are its only source of leverage."
Joining us now on set for the first time ever, former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. Thanks for joining us again. First time on set. We appreciate that.
I've been on the show before, but on set is pretty special.
It's
so thank you.
special
to be
for
with
us.
you.
It's special
For me to be with you.
Listen, we're all happy that hostages are coming home. They're seeing their families. Families are seeing their loved ones. That's beautiful. But when I listen to the White House, hearing Joe Biden and his team say that they're disappointed that more Americans have not been released, and they're hopeful that more Americans will be released, it seems like they have no clue, no leverage, no strength in trying to get Americans out of Hamas's hands.
It's devastating. Listen to that story. A young girl, her mother and father both killed. So they're celebrating she's back, but she'll never have her family again. What they have gone through, they never should have been taken hostage in the first place. Right. And what you want to look at, why did this even take place? Houthis were shooting missiles at Americans yesterday. This is based upon, the Houthis used to be listed as a terrorist. February 2021, Biden removes that as a terrorist organization. Biden comes into office, he starts funding Iran. It's not just the $6 billion that he sent, that he paid for hostages, that's why they want to take hostages, but he allows them to produce more oil. They were only producing 400,000 barrels when he took office, 3 million a day. Do you know how many billions of dollars are bringing? And these are the individuals who fund the terrorist Hamas and others. And the idea that Hamas can never sustain themselves, they have to be destroyed. And it's not a question. We should stand very firmly in this. And the idea from the very beginning, if you take one American hostage anywhere in the world, we will find you and you will be consequences for it.
One American hostage released, and Joe Biden was at a supply chain event today with Pete Buttigieg. And it's just again, a White House that is so focused on optics, that sends the wrong message to everyone here and everyone elsewhere in the world.
And you shouldn't sit there and say, I hope they come back. The question should be, they're all coming back, or you're all going to be eliminated as well. I mean, you've got to play from strength. This weakness, this idea is just wrong, and it's putting more Americans in harm and in jeopardy around the world.
Well, you mentioned this point as well. The fact that terrorist groups are shooting missiles at our ships and at our bases, and they feel like there's no consequence because they perceive Joe Biden and America as weak. To your point, they don't feel like there's going to be a response. They feel like they can act without repercussion, and they have been.
Yeah. We've watched in history the idea that appeasement, this is what the Bidens believe, appeasement has never worked. We've watched in World War II. Peace through strength works. They fear us, we're a safer world. And the world becomes safer, this idea. And so, look, Bob Gates, the former Secretary of Defense, has it right. What he said even before Biden became president, every foreign policy decision this man made as Senate has been wrong. Mm-hmm. You watched his movement to Ukraine has been wrong from the beginning because he allowed Russia to come in. Had he supplied weapons ahead of time? I tried to get him to sell the Javelins to stop tanks in 2015. He said no as vice president. You watched, he just wanted to put sanctions on him. He's already lived through sanctions, so Putin entered. The way he didn't listen to the military in Afghanistan created 13 more Gold Star families. The minute he becomes president, he starts attacking our allies like Saudi Arabia. He doesn't lean into the Abraham Accords, but he starts appeasement with Iran, who starts funding. We have the sanctions against Iran oil in place today. Right. He doesn't enforce them.
To quote Margaret Thatcher, the nauseating stench of appeasement. And we have 74 attacks on U.S. forces since October 17th. I want to get to this. It seems like some progressive members of Congress have grown tired of Biden's unwavering financial support of Israel. In a New York Times op-ed, Senator Bernie Sanders wrote this: "For many years, the United States has provided Israel substantial sums of money with close to no strings attached. The blank check approach must end."
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy also echoing the same sentiment. The president was asked about it on Friday. Here's how he responded.
Well, I think that's a worthwhile thought, but I don't think if I started off with that, we'd ever gotten to where we are today.
But National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was paged for another cleanup on aisle Biden, where he once again translated what Biden actually meant?
What the president actually said was, it's a worthwhile thought, but the approach that I've taken, Joe Biden, have taken, has actually helped generate results. The president made clear in his comments that he thought the approach that he is taking is the approach that has generated the results that we have seen so far. And he is going to continue to engage in exactly that kind of diplomacy. I think you will see the United States continue to do what we have been doing, and particularly President Biden continue to do what he is doing, because that is what is generating results.
Aid to Israel with conditions is coming from progressives like Bernie Sanders, and look no further than the Washington Post article about the White House is grappling with internal divisions, where 27 people in that White House don't like Biden's support for Israel, and they're trying to put pressure on a pullback away from Israel. It is clear as day.
Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. 11 minutes after Israel created as a country 75 years ago, America recognized them. What we provide Israel are resources for them to buy weapons to produce peace inside the Middle East. It is Biden's administration of appeasement that has harmed. We watched in the last administration of Trump to have an Abraham Accord where countries have never before recognized Israel. Because he pulled away from that and not bringing Saudi Arabia in, this is a window of why Iran came in. Iran, if you look at the international monetary system, only had about $4 billion. They have $70 billion today. They have become wealthier, stronger, and funded more terrorism around the world under a Biden administration. We cannot continue down this path. We have learned, and this world looks more like the 1930s than the 2000s, because what has happened here is you've got China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea creating the axis of evil. The same thing we watched that Hitler created. And we've got Chamberlain right now sitting in the White House, when he went and met with Putin.
A peace for our time.
That's right. And you know what he did? He lifted the sanctions off Nord Stream 2 and asked nothing in return, so Putin entered Ukraine. We've watched history. We cannot let it repeat.
Okay, you know these guys. You know Joe Biden, you know Jake Sullivan. And to say that Joe Biden is generating results, I'm like, generating results? I mean, the world's on fire. Whether you look at Ukraine, you look at Russia's invasion, you look at the Middle East, you look at America itself. Do they actually believe their lies, or do they just think we're stupid, and if they say it, we'll believe it?
I think from their perspective, they try to say it for you to believe it, but what their foreign policy makes America weaker and the world less safe. We've watched it time and again. There is no person running for re-election in modern history with a weaker position than Jimmy Carter, than Biden. This is exactly what he's put us in. But the one thing, if you study Carter's life, he woke up a year before, and he started putting America producing military weapons because he watched what the world has created through this appeasement. But Biden has not.
You get to this.
I get to this?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, before we go, Congressman, we want to get your take on this. Apparently, some lawmakers have had enough. Just this month, 13 members of Congress have announced they won't be seeking re-election, bringing the total to 7 senators and 31 House members, deciding to vacate their seats, 38 in total. That breaks down to 25 Democrats and 13 Republicans. And so I want to get your take. Why are so many members leaving? A lot of Democrats, by the way, are leaving.
2-1 Democrat to Republican.
And I wonder, are they afraid of running on a ticket with Joe Biden, number one? But I'm also concerned about the institutional knowledge. You and I know that you want people who have been around a little bit, who know how it works and how you get stuff done and where the bathrooms are. Everyone starts to leave. It becomes a real problem.
It does, but this is a natural thing because remember, the Democrats were in the majority before. So anytime you're about to lose the majority, they try to coerce you and don't leave, the climate's bad, and then they stay and they go into the minority. They said, I'm not staying. But this is good for Republicans, right? Because you got Spanberg leaving, you got Slotkin, you've got Kildee. These are all seats we were competing in. I believe Republicans have a better climate to win seats in the House than they did for the last 2 election cycles, and they've won both cycles when Republicans weren't winning somewhere else. This is a natural time, though, too, because filing deadlines are coming up, people are home for Thanksgiving, and it's been a little chaotic.
It has?
Well, I had a different job about a month ago, and it's a little chaotic. So what happens, you come back home and you think, you know what? I got something else. So, but you know, look, it's sad to lose some brain trust, but don't ever think someone can't be replaced. And it's an unbelievable institution. And I think when we focus on the right things, it just makes even the world better and America stronger.
Congressman, are you going to run again?
Well, I got to make that decision coming up soon by December 8th. I pulled my papers. I just have to decide whether I return them. That's all.
All I can tell you is you look like 10 years younger of last month.
You know what? He gives me bad advice because I watch him. He looks better today. He looks happier than ever. And I'm sitting here thinking, I got to run again. And he's over here happier, but he's not there.
We need guys like Kevin McCarthy still in the House.
I want to just add one thing. Bob Good's getting primaried in the 5th District of Virginia. And there are a lot of people who are happy about it, including some McDowells. Down in
some McCarthys
Virginia.
as well, maybe. Speaker Kevin
John
McCarthy.
McGuire, former Navy SEAL, delegate in Virginia, gonna primary old Bob Good. Just adding that, Congressman.
Navy SEAls make very good members. You think of the leadership, and what McGuire did, he goes around, teaches leadership to CEOs. And this guy's a state senator.
Yep.
Unbelievable patriot to America, a strong supporter of President Trump. I mean, he's an amazing individual.
What most people probably don't know is that you know every race better than anybody. Even Bill Hemmer, you know every race, front and back, who's running, what the odds are, what matters in everyone's district. And we appreciate all you've done for the country and for the House, your speakership, and what you've done for California. Thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you. You guys have an amazing show. I look forward to coming back for my second in studio.
In person.
Yes.
We love it. Kevin McCarthy, thank you. All right.